We have 3 Thunder Furies. I think that's enough Thunder Furies.
This doesn't look good, dude. I'm not sure how that happened, but
I don't know why we pulled this backpack. We pulled 2 packs at the same time. You ever see 3 Thunder Fury trails?
no, not like that. Chain got mad because I called it the real chain lightning. On Pride over there.
Base questions, but we don't have to follow them at all.
Yeah, I'm cool with whatever, man. Like whatever we talk about, that's cool with me. I'm honestly surprised that you chose me to interview. I definitely feel like I'm just a normal dude, and
Well, I mean, normal people do great things in games, don't they?
yeah, I mean, I guess so. Yeah, Azeroth is definitely, you know, whatever you make it. So.
I'll tell you, Slapjaw didn't think he was going to be the guy to open the gates.
Dude, you want to know a secret? Me either. This is a good segue, actually. So I remember when Slapjaw joined, his guild had already completed one.
When you say joined, just to clarify for the listeners, this is when he joined the Scepter Quest kind of campaign.
When he joined the coalition, when we sat down and talked about his goals, where he was at, and you know, his path to completing the quest. Basically, I would kind of meet with everyone, and we would carve them out a little slot where they could farm peacefully while we protected the hives. I'm leaving here. I'm not about to get my buffs taken, even though I don't have any. I'm scared. So yeah, whenever we had that discussion, I remember specifically telling him like 2 days later, because I had a really good tabs on all of the guilds that were there and kind of their numbers and how many people they showed up with to PvP with. And all of the big guilds were gone by that time. And I remember we were really close to finishing our scepter. So I was like, I'm not really sure what's gonna happen to Silithus like once we leave. You know, I was spending like probably 12 to 18 hours a day just doing diplomacy and like helping people get along. And like not farming at all. So I was like, I really have no idea what's about to happen, you know?
We're fighting.
And actually encouraged Slapjaw to give up. I was like, look, man, you know, what are they called? The little bug skins? God, I can't believe
Fragments.
Fragments. I was like, man, the fragments are worth so much money right now. Like, you're gonna make a ton of gold if you just sell and dip out. And I don't know if you guys talked about this at all, but I encouraged Slapjaw to quit. I'm pretty sure. I was like, you should just give up for sure. So I'm very surprised that he made it through, because I remember seeing him out there, and you know, his guild farmed one, and then there's a couple other guilds that actually farmed too. But whenever they showed back up, they brought like their whole guild with them, right? Like they would have 40-man raid team showing up after raid to help protect the hives, and there's a lot of engagement. But I remember Slapjaw was just like him and like 2 other people, and I was just like, oh my god, dude, there's no way.
It was a ragtag team, you're saying?
Yeah, definitely. But so I mean, luckily the gates took a lot longer to open than we thought, but I remember everyone was just sweating so much trying to, you know, do all the math and figure out if they're gonna finish and what's the good point to sell if you feel like you can't finish. And it was really nerve-wracking, man. It really was. So big props to him, dude. That guy has balls of steel.
Yeah.
Because, you know, if the gates open and you're at like 34,000 fragments, remember people, this shit took 40,000 fragments to farm, which, and maybe I think it was 41. There's like 2 to 3 fragments per drop, and these are 62 elites. You know, anywhere from 58 to 62 elites. So
I remember killing them myself. They were challenging. There were many times I almost died.
yeah, and I mean 41,000 of those things, that is a lot.
Yeah, so let's rewind just a little bit. You used the word diplomacy there, and I don't think a lot of players are familiar with like this as a verb in WoW.
Sure. Yeah, I mean that's really true. I don't think, especially the Zoomer generation, they're definitely not familiar with diplomacy.
Yeah, you said it pretty casually. So let's roll back to it. So there's a coalition of guilds working together on Scarabs, right? And the quick brief of it, from what I gather, is that everyone is just working together and just cooperating, right?
Right. That's essentially it. Yeah, just some sort of like structured agreement between everyone that encourages them to work together. Yep.
Okay, and the Alliance, I assume, is the big enemy here. Or is it even Horde side, where like you need to divide each other more fairly?
Honestly, yeah, everyone was against everyone. And you know, I think you've been giving me a lot of credit for like solving the Silithus, thing or whatever. But there was so many other, stronger leaders than I that were involved in it. Um, I feel like I kind of held together and made people show up to meetings, and I planned all of that stuff. But yeah, there were a lot of other people involved. So yeah, basically, whenever we got to Silithus, I remember showing up there one day with a hunter in my guild, and we were going to start farming for our Scarab Lord, and we kind of realized what was going on. And what was going on is that certain Horde guilds were um, colluding with certain Alliance guilds to basically lock down a hive so that no one can get in or out. And you kill everyone of the opposite faction except for a specific guild, right?
So I heard about this rumor, and this is true.
Oh yeah, I mean definitely true. Well, the reason that this whole coalition started was because it was true. For on my end at least, that's what pissed me off so much is that not only were Alliance and Horde working together, but they were fucking over their own faction. Excuse me, I don't know if this is like kid friendly
No, you're
stream or
fine.
whatever, but
You're fine.
yeah, they were fucking over their own faction, like, and not only in a way that's like I'm gonna out tag you for these, but they were just legitimately uh, having the Alliance come kill them while leaving them alone. So yeah, I remember we got video on it, and I posted it in the leadership chat, and I was like, does anyone care about this? And everyone was like, meh, it happens. And so that's when I got really upset because no one wanted to like work together to get it done and to push those people out. So after they got them out is kind of when the coalition formed, and they were the first people to finish the scepter, I think.
You're talking about Rampage's first scepter.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't gonna say the guild name, but you said it, so yeah.
Well, it's an important part of our history, right? I will eventually be interviewing
Sure.
Rampage. Right.
Sure. So yeah. So essentially, like, we got down the caves and we saw Rampage and I think Calm Down Brookie were working together, and they would just kill anyone who came in that wasn't in one of those two guilds. Now I know there was other working together going on, but that's the only thing that I saw personally.
For sure. And you think this gave them the complete edge to get the first one?
Oh, without a doubt, without a doubt. Yeah, because after they left, all the horde were competing with each other. So you'd be standing on a spawn, right? And some shaman would come over with 13 ping and out tag you, and then they would just set up camp, and like that's their mob now because there's nothing you can do if you don't have lower ping. You're not going to get any tags, you're not going to get any skin, so you might as well just leave.
So what I'm hearing is there was kind of like a pre-Rampage clearing the scepter, and then like a post-scepter kind of environment in Silithus.
Basically, yeah. As the coalition formed, it took us maybe 3 days to fully get organized, but on the first day it formed, we drove all of them out.
Who's
and there was
them?
nothing we could do against Rampage.
Who's
the
them?
colluding guilds and Hive Regal.
I see. The Alliance guilds that are helping Horde.
Right.
Okay.
Because like there's nothing I can do against Horde, right?
You
Except
just have
for
to watch
stand there
them.
and try to out tag them.
Yeah, I understand.
So people were out tagging each other, and that's what was so fucked about the whole situation is you had all these guilds not only getting killed by Alliance, but then getting their bugs stolen by the Horde as well. So people are just bullying each other around.
Now, how long would you say Rampage took? It was about a week, then they were done?
I honestly have no idea. I want to say it was sooner, like probably 3 days.
Okay, so it's a short period of time.
Yeah, if you can just farm like every spawn, it doesn't take that long. Especially when you can get an entire guild to help you. I mean, 40 people doing that quest, it's not too bad.
Now, when you say every spawn, you're talking about one colony, not all three, right?
Yeah, just one hive, yeah.
You got your Scourge Stone thing on?
Yeah, I don't know if you guys need rep. I honestly don't even really need it, but oh, we'll take it. So yeah, so that was the situation as we found it. And just to kind of give the rest of the story, we were pretty pissed about the collusion, but as I said, there wasn't much we could do other than go there and try to out tag them. But you can't out tag your own team when the Alliance are there killing them.
So you said it was a short period of time before Rampage had their thing, and then you guys could kind of start maneuvering, right?
Right. So I remember maybe like day 3 of Silithus, I got an invite to a group, and they're like, "Hey, we're raiding Hive Regal." Apparently Rampage was out. So there was maybe 3 or 4 guilds in that initial raid, and Supa was the guy. He's a GM at Void.
Yeah, I'm familiar
Uh,
with Supa.
Supa's a great dude. Yeah, he kind of actually organized the very first raid, and he invited me, and I put everyone in our Discord, and I just said, well, let's do this. So after the raid, we split up the Hive Regal amongst the guilds that participated and just let them farm, and it worked out so well that we just kept it.
So Supa and you kind of formed the beginnings of it, and it kind of naturally unfolded.
Yep, essentially, yeah. Yeah, and then as other guilds kind of saw the power of working together, they wanted to join as well, you know. So, you know, eventually towards the middle, we had probably 14 guilds or 12 to 14 at one point, all working together at the same time.
Did you have sort of kind of like time slots and like positions?
Yeah,
like
we
shifts?
would break. Yep, we would break out the hives into sections, and then each guild was kind of appointed a little section.
Did you have names for these sections, or was it kind of informal?
Yeah, we had a red, blue, green, and a yellow for each different.
So there's a map.
Yeah, there are many maps actually, because we had to redraw them every time a guild would leave or join. You know, we had to allocate new space to the new guilds and get rid of the space that the old guilds.
It sounds like the beginning was Wild West chaos with a lot of collusion kind of disrupting the natural flow of competition, right? Rampage gets their thing, and then you guys slowly unfold to organize with the Horde, right? Because the Horde naturally dominates the population, and you guys are kind of just working with
It's about 2 to 1.
Okay, so the infighting settles down, and now you guys are just fighting an alliance at one point, right?
Exactly. And then, you know, the advantage we really had was the Alliance was still fighting the Alliance, and the Horde stopped doing that. So we just completely dominated the zone for like a week. Until the Alliance decided to, you know, coordinate themselves.
So this is one of the rare moments where you could say that Horde was more organized, because from the trope and the stereotype, you know, that I've experienced, Horde is less organized en masse.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about that. I think a lot of times you only see the Alliance who are organized, if that makes sense, because the only ones who are going to even put a dent in the Horde's plans are the ones who have organization. So it may appear that they are more organized. Honestly, I've never played Alliance on the server, so I have no idea what it's like.
For sure.
But they were extremely disorganized in Silithus. I remember you could kind of see it happen actually, because I mean we were spending, like I said, like literally like 12 to probably 16 hours a day there.
Wow.
At least for me, and sometimes more. And you would see them run around in squad. You know, everyone's in the same guild. And then soon enough, it was like 2 guilds at a time. And then towards the end, there would be like 7 guilds all show up in the same raid together. So we kind of knew at that point, you know, they had formed a coalition as well, and we're helping each other out.
It's pretty apparent then. You can just tell from motion and from guild names.
Yeah, and we constantly had eyes everywhere in Silithus. So if, you know, there were more than 5 raiding Rainbow running around, you know, we would know about it. Or, you know, same goes for any of those guilds like Calm Down Rook, Exile.
Right.
Some of the common ones, I forget, Bob's Bake. Just the harder core.
So would you mostly rely on avoidance, or would you time your confrontation?
No, you can't avoid. I mean, you're in the hive, right? Like everyone's spending all their time trying to farm these fragments.
Okay.
So anytime you have to put down your farming pitchfork and pick up your blade to go fight, it's like super annoying, right? Because you're not making any progress towards the goal. And you might even be fighting at a different hive completely. You know, not even protecting your own guildmates, but protecting someone else because you've been called to help. So it. I'm sorry. What was the question?
It's okay. This mind control's fucking me.
Warrior's a fussy thing. Yeah, there you go.
So the PvP, right? I guess what I'm asking is, how would you divide your efforts? Would you run away, or would you just kind of deal with it as it came, or did you like proactively stomp them out?
So okay, yeah. So a common scenario would be like, so we start hearing blips of like, 3 art reading rainbow northeast of Regal, and maybe no one will really respond to that. And then we'd hear a blip of like 5 rating rainbow northeast of Regal, and we're like, oh shit, their numbers are going up. And so we may send a small squad of like 5 people just to watch that area. Maybe send like 1 or 2 people up to just check it out, or like a hunter to go look. And if it looks like they're forming a raid, then we would form our own raid and respond.
So sometimes you're proactive.
Yeah, almost every time it was proactive. There was never really a time when just all of a sudden they would dunk up.
Okay, so you were pretty proactive, and you relied on scouting.
Yeah, lots of scouting. Hey, we taunt them. This doesn't look good, dude. I'm not sure how that happened, but
I don't know why we pulled this backpack. We pulled 2 packs at the same time.
yeah, drop the pitchforks for the blade. That's exactly it, man. It was like a real fucking war too, because it was the first time I ever had to deal with like actual fatigue in players, because they were farming for like so long, and then they'd have to go into these complex PvP engagements where a lot of it's just form up, buff, and then sit there. And then we would wait for the alliance to attack, in the big raid stuff, and then go counter and take our hive back, basically.
So there's enough people farming where they're literally just enforcers, just waiting.
No, not really. Everyone there was farming, right? So like say you have a guild and they have 15 people online. All 15 people, those people will be farming unless we request that they donate a couple to like a PvP team. So I mean, at times during really high population, we couldn't obviously saturate. I mean, we would saturate all the farming nodes, and then we would have people left over to PvP. So we might form like a squad, but we would send everyone who didn't have an assigned node up to the surface. And then the surface bugs were open tagging, so they were free to just try to steal tags from other guilds, friendly competition, and then that also put them up top to protect the people deep in the caves.
There's almost like a ranking almost. You guys go up top. We're gonna stay down.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's insane how they say prisons have like hierarchies and like very complex like governing systems almost, and social like I said, hierarchies. That shit developed really quick out there as well. I think you put enough humans in one place together for long enough, and that kind of stuff develops eventually.
People get edgy, and you're grinding for so many hours, day after day.
Well, right, and we're social animals, right? Like we thrive on a social existence, and I think it's just a natural thing that humans do, is condense into tribes and things like that. So yeah, to answer your question, a typical PvP engagement would just be, we would hear about them forming up, and then we would go to respond. Rarely ever, I mean, maybe, there was probably maybe like 4 or 5 times where Stone Spire's behind you, Alright, we got it. There were a couple times where they'd show up with like 40 people, and then we'd have to all die, right? And then we would pull someone from the other hive to come save them, basically bail them out, because they'd all be trapped super deep. Yeah, this is the guy.
So there's different parties, and you guys are just interfacing with each other, is what you just said, right?
So yeah, there were definitely parties. There were definitely cliques that formed, certain guilds that got along better than others. I remember, some guilds would show up and not get along with anyone. Others would be like, the sheriff of town, and everyone wanted to be on it. My guild got really tight with Darkness and with BRB Tornado because we shared a cave together.
Okay, so you built friendships through that and alliances.
Oh my god, absolutely, man. Yeah, I mean, me and Hykeran went from strangers to, I know what he does for a living now and stuff like that. So it was really cool. It was really cool.
Went from just competing on these bugs free-for-all style to becoming friends and working together.
Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and that's definitely what made Silithus like the coolest thing I've ever been a part of in a video game before ever. And the diplomacy was very because you know if you think about it, the coalition only existed to stop people from competing with each other, but there's absolutely nothing we can do to you know really enforce that if someone wants to go rogue and just camp your mobs. I remember this guy named shit, what was his name? Jared, who was from what guild was he from?
He wanted it his own way.
I don't remember. Yeah, he would just show up in our cave, and this was after we helped their guild farm a entire Scarab Lord mount. He would show up in our cave and just steal our tags for like 6 hours, and his ping was like 13, so there's nothing.
This is for extended periods of time. It's not just for a little bit.
Oh yeah, yeah, and he was like trolling us the whole time, and I was like, of course, talking to their GM, talking to their officers, trying to be like, yo, can you do something about this guy? And they're just like, nope. I'm like, okay. So they became our enemy, and then since they were our enemy, he quickly became everyone's enemy. You know what I mean?
And so what happened to that guild? Do you mind naming that guild, or?
I honestly don't remember the name of the guild. I know they were doing speedruns last year, but I haven't seen them on logs recently. I honestly don't even remember what the name.
Did they finish the scepter train?
Pain Train.
Did they finish their scepter?
Yeah, they got a scepter. They got one super early. And like I said, no hard feelings to anyone in that guild. It was just, we knew that they weren't cooperative, and during the the duration of Silithus, like we weren't obviously friends because of.
So like a minor thing like that can make it create tension, right?
Oh
so, like,
yeah,
it's not like you
one,
hate them. It's just
one
there's
of
tension.
your guild members not participating, it can fuck it up for everyone, because then you'd see someone in Pain Train and you'd immediately go try to steal all their bugs. And the cool thing about the coalition is if someone didn't listen, I said we had no way to enforce it, but we actually did. We would send people who we knew were the lowest ping on the server to go camp people's stuff if they didn't cooperate.
You had specific people that could harass.
Right, correct. So instead of having those people compete against each other, we would just use them as like enforcers for the coalition.
For sure.
So it was really, honestly, it was really helpful.
There's a limit to the social dynamics. Yeah.
Yeah, there was no other way for us to enforce, cooperation without that.
Very interesting. Now, you said that you were in the coalition helping out people for a while, handling diplomacy. This is like the start of our story. And
right.
Near the end of it, you were done, or like a couple guilds were done, and then Slapjaw was one of the few guys left in the later cycles, right? Because you said it took a lot longer than everyone expected.
So yeah, the gate took a lot longer. So we were constantly planning for, okay, so once this guild finishes, that guild finishes, and this guild finishes, then the gates are going to open within, 5 days from that, because we expect all these people to go farm war effort rather than farm fragments. So we were trying to balance the protection that people had based on, the bigger guilds that were there and the people with the better PvPers, with the smaller guilds and people who didn't have many people helping about to pull it on. So yeah, I remember just looking over guidances, it's like people that they had online and where they were and all this stuff, and I was just like, man, you just shouldn't even try.
It was so pessimistic looking, yeah.
Yeah, and I remember saying the same thing, to Wes. Wes will be from Songflower. I didn't necessarily tell him not to try, but I was like, look man, it's just you. Like, we can't really offer you a spot in the coalition because you can't protect other hives like we can. Whenever each guild is bringing like 30 or 40 people into the coalition, you're just bringing one, so it would just be us protecting you.
What you're kind of revealing to me is like, to join the coalition, you have to offer a little bit, not just take fragments.
Exactly, yeah, not just take a farming spot. You have to like show up and protect other people, just like we were gonna protect you.
So activity and participation were really kind of monitored.
Yeah, and honestly, it was just me.
Well, it's kind of, you can do it socially too. You're just like, these guys have been here every day. Like, these guys come in at night. These guys are the early guys, or whatever. You kind of do it.
Exactly. Yeah, like I remember we carved out a specific spot for Phoenix, the guild, and Perf/ASIC from there. I think he's a GM, but he would wake up at like 7 a.m. every day and get a little ragtag group of people with the coalition resources, like the channels we created, and then they'd go and take over Hive Zora every single day, and then he'd have Hive Zora for the rest of the day because he, put in the work to go take it over.
Literally wake up and then just go to sleep, like all in one hive.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was crazy. But he finished pretty quick with just a small amount of people because he was able to go take that away from the Alliance after they would take it from us at night, and then just camp on it.
So the Alliance did have some footing.
So it was more like we would hold the caves all day and all night until a lot of the bigger guilds started dropping out, and then the Alliance would start to take over Zora at random ass times. I remember one time, I think it was Exile decided that they were going to take over one cave in Zora, and we had to wait for another raid to get finished before we could show up with enough people to push them back out.
So these are many calculated decisions.
Yeah, it was kind of a constant ebb and flow, and absolutely, because you can't tell 10 guilds to send everyone they have to go take over a cave somewhere, and then quit farming, for an hour.
Okay, so there's sometimes you conceded.
Yeah. Sometimes we just didn't have the numbers to make it worth it. It's like just spread out where you are, and there's plenty of fragments for everyone. But yeah, we tried to be very tactical about our engagements because, like I said, there was real world with the players, and we didn't want to burn people out because they were already spending 16 hours a day farming fragments, and just didn't want to waste people's time or life.
Yeah. So you were down in Silithus for about 2 weeks, you'd say?
Yeah, it's probably more like 3 for us.
The gates took so long, yeah. How many
They really did.
How many scepters do you think you helped finish?
Oh god. I'd say the coalition probably produced 30. Well, how many do we have on Horde?
I think we have...
I'd say every scepter except the one in Rampage, and then like the Pain Train one. I probably wouldn't claim that as ours. And like I keep saying ours and like whatever, but remember there are so many other guild leaders and officers helping me from so many different guilds. So I'd say like all but maybe 4 or 5 were farmed in the coalition.
That's crazy. Okay, so you're talking about other guild leaders, officers. Any specific shoutouts? Any coordination or structure? You said there are some things that were just you, like for instance, like the time or the partitioning, right? But like any other responsibilities?
Yeah, so I mean, Supa for sure, 100% Supa. He helped mediate a lot of the discussions, or mediate's really the right word. It wasn't moderate, because they finished first, like Void. And they're also helping Maiden Chini, who was the first guidance person. Satra's also in guidance.
Yes.
So I wouldn't maybe claim those two, but Supa stayed around and mediated discussions between all the guilds who are all, still involved in Silithus and invested because we need to farm our fragment. He would come to those meetings that I set up and be like a neutral, mediator, which was awesome. That really helped.
But had finished this and he stayed, so like he has some experience in this exact scenario, and he's trying to kind of just help guide others through is that what I'm reading?
Right. He finished the grind, and then I would invite, we'd have a leadership meeting every 1 or 2 days to redivide all the hives, right? Because you have like a guild finishing every day or every other day, it felt like. And then we need to redraw the territories because there's like this giant space that opens up that no one's farming in anymore.
Oh, so you're always updating and mediating then? Like, because
a
big guild was like, I want this hive now.
Sure, right. Or like a guild that's not big but's been there forever, and it's like, okay, it's your turn to get this done, and if we get you done, then we can open up space for this guild, and then they can come in. And it was also kind of balancing, who would finish win with who would join win, because we didn't want to lose, all the big guilds at once.
So you had to pace some of the bigger guilds, just like, hey, I know you could finish like one day faster, but like.
Right, like we're not going to give you all the farming space you can handle, just help us protect for a while, and then, we'll get you done too, we promise. You just got to help us out a little bit.
What I'm coming to understand, Harm, is you might have done one of the most difficult policy systems in the game, because...
Oh, I think so too. It was, so complicated.
Well, the comparison I'm drawing is, like, you know, I do a lot of GDKP rating, right? So a lot of the policies taken out of loot. But when you go back to your normal loot councils, right, you see all the policy and you see the, like, there's 40 people working together through a long period of time. Things come and go, people change, you know, all those things, right?
Right, right.
And you're handling dozens of guilds working together with different interests, different timings, right? It's like you're doing the loot council for 12 guilds.
Yeah, in a way. I mean, yeah. I mean, we would all meet and agree on the terms of like the next territory drawings, and some of them didn't move a whole bunch, but yeah, we were definitely trying to fit everyone in there we could and get them out with them out. That was my goal for sure.
Think about how casually you just said we drew territory lines. Like, how many people in the game do this?
Oh, nobody. That's what I say. Like, I made an announcement to my player when we were honestly thinking about dropping out of the grind because we weren't sure we were going to be able to get done, and we didn't want to waste all that potential gold. And I said, you know, in the announcement, I was like, this is one of the paradigm shifting moments in MMO gaming history. Like, this never happens in WoW ever again, and I, you know, firmly believe it's one of the coolest things that has ever happened.
The Scepter questline, yeah, it's very. There are people who waited 15 years for this, right?
Yeah, and you don't draw territory in WoW. You know, it's just like unheard of, I guess. So yeah, I guess you're right.
Yeah, I know you're surprised because you said you're just some guy, but like, dude, don't underlook your accomplishments. And you shouted out, I forgot his name already. It's Supa. Yep, he's a warrior. He's a Tauren warrior, I believe. Supa.
Yep, he also goes by Stones, I think is his mage. I don't know if he wants me to tell people that, but I actually have a huge list of shoutouts because that's one of the things I did do to prepare. So I mean, Unholy Fire and Lord Naj. Unholy Fire is with Unleashed, and Lord Naj is with Big Hearts. They were really strong PvP leaders and voices. I knew I could just assign them 40 people and tell them to, you know, go take a hive or something, and they would just get it done. They also brought their whole guilds back for PvP sometimes, which was awesome. Spoigum and Exu of BRB. Exu was like the sheriff around Hive Regal. He was multi-boxing with like 10 mages, so you know, he could pretty much blow up an entire raid of alliance by himself, which was awesome. This is before broadcasting software got banned. And then Spoigum was pretty good at diplomacy too. He would help me talk people off ledges and, you know, convince them that, you know, obviously their best interest was in working together with everyone, so that we're not fighting each other and the alliance. But I have a lot of shots, man. Hykeran was really good at helping with diplomacy as well. He kind of knew things that were going on both sides of the faction line, which was nice. And I didn't want to be involved in that, so Enot from Serenity helped with PvP a shitload. Shinhwa helped control her people at Goth, which was a big task. They're a huge guild.
Get
so
it, Fenris.
anytime you're communicating with that many people, it's really hard.
Right.
But yeah, those people helped, and I know there's people that I'm forgetting that were super helpful.
Of course, man. It was a huge project. It lasted almost a month of our life, right?
Yeah. Oh, Buff from Hated, he helped a ton. Yeah, man, it was crazy. It was really, really crazy, honestly. So yeah, I thought it was interesting that you reached out to me about scheduling PvP events and stuff, because, you know, it's not really what happened down there. It's not like I was like, hey, let's all get together and fight. It was more like, protect the farmers, you know, protect the crops so we can eat, and like get the fuck out of here. Like, you know, every time your farm would get taken, you're like, man, the longer I let that stay occupied by Alliance, the longer I'm gonna have to spend down here and sell this. So people were really motivated to work together.
The grind was so hard, yeah, and you helped them.
Done. Right. So I mean, all I really did, like, it's really not a big thing. I just showed people, like, hey, this is what happens when you work together in a situation like this. You reduce the amount of enemies you have, and we all get done and get out of here faster. So yeah.
That's dope, dude. Reduce enemies, increase cooperation, get everyone. You said you helped 30 plus mounts be crafted, right?
Yeah, I think there was like 50 on our server, and I think the Horde had 33. I have a spreadsheet somewhere. I can tell you an exact number, but
that's incredible, man. No easy feat.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, man. Honestly, it really was. You know, like I said, it was not a one person thing. I just happened to end up, the admin of the server that it was happening in, and calling meetings and telling people to behave. So yeah, not a huge deal. Everyone in there though, they'll probably tell you, if they were involved in the farm, all the Scarab Lords at least, uh, that it was, one of the coolest things in video gaming history for them.
Being a part of the coalition and fighting alliance and grinding all day.
Yeah, just seeing people work together, like I said, for instance, with like Hycran and I, we had never talked before Silithus, and then I'm looking through my messages, and it's just like every day we're going back and forth, every single day for pages, and he was just one of the Scarab Lords, that I was helping out. Um, so I mean, it was just crazy how many friendships were made then.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, I'm just happy that people didn't get fucked over by colluding, like cheating guilds who all they care about is doing it first and they don't care how it happens. To me, that's really upsetting. And like I don't know. I'm for like you were saying earlier that uh, you want to help people come together and connect people. Uh, and that's kind of always been one of my goals as well. Is I started with a lot of IRL friends in the game. Um, so that's why I became GM, and it's just a lot more fun when we all work together and have fun. Honestly, who cares how it was done, like the first time or the fastest, in my opinion.
We were kind of lucky in that those who grinded so fast for it didn't anticipate that it would still be open for that many weeks after, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, yeah. I remember when Scarm quit. We were actually thinking about quitting also, and I sent him a message, and this was before everything blew up with him. And I was like, "Hey, do you want to death roll 20k fragments?" So it would have been like 120,000 gold death roll or something when it's all said and done. If they were what 3 gold each,
Yeah.
would have been insane. But he ended up quitting. I think a lot of that stuff was starting to unfold privately with him around that time. But yeah, I mean, if people wanted to, they could have easily came and pushed us out with better cooperation or maybe skill. But I feel like what we had was just like literally like 120 people all dedicated to spending like 16 hours a day in Silithus. It was just a dumb amount of time.
A lot of dedication, and you think you got the majority of the horde working together on that coalition, right?
Yeah, I do remember seeing a couple guilds where I was like, man, they are dedicated. Like shout out to Shadows of the Horde, Maui Bunny, I think. I don't know if that's his main, but a lot of his names have the word Maui or Bunny in them. Um, I really wanted to work with them and like invite them into the coalition, but there was only like 3 or 4 of them online at any time. So rather than like we still brought them in and stuff, and we were just like, hey, you guys just farm right here, like you're doing great as it is. So yeah, not every guild was in there, not the whole horde, but we definitely weren't trying to be like, fuck this specific guild, like we don't want to work with you. It was more like if you show up and like don't understand how it's currently working, we'll show you how it works and we'll do our best to get you a spot, especially if you have enough people. Like I don't know if you heard of the fallout with Dang, but
No, I haven't.
that definitely happened. Oh, you haven't heard of this?
Is it currently unfolding right now?
No, no, no. This is old Silithus news. You ever see the YouTube video about me called Harm?
No, I haven't.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Dang, says Beverice. Yeah, man. Dang. It's just some drama. Like, basically, we attempted to like cooperate with them, and they were like kind of camping on a lot of the coalition-owned spots, and we were just like, hey, like, can we have these back? And they're just like, no. So it's like, okay, well, hey, if you help us take this hive, you can have this whole area, and then we can work on like getting you guys in. And they were just like, no, I just want to farm gold. Anyways, long story short, they made like this YouTube video about me, and ended up showing up one day in Silithus with like a whole alliance raid and their raid, and none of them were killing each other, but they were mind controlling me. And so they would like run me to the gates of AQ and just like kill me over and over and over again with horde players. Um, it was really funny.
You're taking it well. It seems like a cyberbully.
Oh yeah, definitely it was cyberbullying, but like I knew at that time like my most important thing was making sure that the people farming didn't get
What a selfless
interrupted
guy.
by people hating me because I knew I would get blamed for that, and I just didn't want 2 full raids like chilling in the hive. So yeah, I walked my ass all the way out of there, and I was just like, I'll just let them troll me while I, do diplomacy for a while. So I was just like rezzing, dying, and not. I didn't give a fuck, but it was really funny. They were entertained. So there were a couple times they might actually like run me to the top of the tower and just like spam MC me, so I couldn't do anything. But it was honestly a really good break from like running around the hives because I could just sit there and type to people. Oh man,
A selfless leader, taking it well.
it was a good time. So I have some questions for you, maybe.
You have questions for me?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, go for them.
How many raids a week do you do? Do you think?
Do you count like Anixia and ZG Idol? Are you counting like only the 40
yeah,
mans?
just raids in general.
Today I did 4. I did Anixia, ZG Idol, MC, and Blackwing Layer. Right, so today was 4. I'd say the average day I
Seems
do
like
about 3 to 4.
That's crazy. 3 raids a day.
Yeah, I started taking Tuesday off, and I'm starting to work on YouTube content like this, and I'll see if I should edit this video or keep it long form. You had a great interview, man. Like, your story is really incredible.
Hey, well, thanks, man. I mean, like I said, I'm more than willing to hop into it in more detail. There's literally so much more that I want to cover that I just can't. From from the time we all slash followed Exu and ran into Hive Zora with literally 2 full raids stacked on top of someone following them. That was hilarious. We also summoned Thunder into one of the hives, and we were just chain summoning him and kiting him to the hives that the Alliance were in for beams. There's one time Exu did 100k damage in one global because he jumped down on top of an entire Alliance raid. There's this time Wolf Ranks hit me up, who I guess was the leader of the Alliance coalition, and he was like trying to strong arm us out of that's one of the pictures I sent you, is me flipping him off in game. He tried to strong arm us out of our hive, and I was just like, fuck you, man. So that's when we had like the 200 people PvP battles after that happened. But yeah, man, it was really great. It was a lot of time. It was a lot of fun. Really time consuming. I wish he could have been there, chilling with us.
Yeah, a lot of rich drama.
It would have been great for the stream, man. Honestly,
I hadn't even built the stream at that point, so yeah.
a lot of content, definitely.
I'm happy I got to get the experience from you, one of the people leading the charge there.
Yeah, of course, man. Like I said, I didn't do much, but like I said, I'm
You
happy
did a
to
lot.
the stream out however I can.
Bro, you did a lot. So casually saying stuff like working diplomacy. There are so few players on this server that can say they do that.